listening to the Nerdy Reads podcast, a hipster goblin media production.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Nerdy Reads podcast. Today, if you have been following us for the last, few weeks and the end of last year, we were talking about Dungeon Crawler, Carl. We covered book 1, and today we are starting with book 2. If you want the author bio, then you want to go ahead and slide on back to the previous 3 videos where we talked a little bit about Matt Denneman. But today we're talking about Carl's Doomsday scenario. Robert, give us the rundown.
All right, guys. So previously we covered Dungeon Crawler Carl, which was book 1 of this universe. And when we last saw our heroes, Carl and Donut had picked up a new companion, Mongo, who would turn out to be a velociraptor. I'm personally excited for this development. Can't wait for the future. Carl found 3 items in his inventory of note that were owned by the mysterious Agatha: a weapon, a shield, and something called an intertuner communications device. I think that's what it was called, ITC for short. To me, Agatha remains one of the biggest mysteries of this series thus far. And then Odette warned Carl and Donut about selecting the class with the highest charisma requirement. And so our heroes descend into floor 3 of the dungeon. And that's where we're at. Carl's Doomsday scenario takes place, and we're on floor 3 of the dungeon.
So book 1 really ended on a huge cliffhanger, because I think when we first started book 1, we were like, well, I mean, how far are we going to get? We'll at least get to see them select their classes and races, at least. Nope.
None of that. Nope.
And so normally we don't jump right into a book back-to-back series of books, but we were like, well, we want to know what class and race they selected. And so really wasn't surprised by Donut's selection, to be honest. Carl's a little, even though there's some stuff with it, but we all knew Donut was going to stay a cat.
Oh, of course. She said cat's the best race. Why would she change? You know who did change? Our boy Mordecai. Because I remember him being like Master Splinter, and he shows up as a incubus, which is what the male succubus. So he's just like, my dude's out here rizzing up all the females in the dungeon now.
Mordecai still remains one of those. He's kind of a mystery too. He's always been kind of cool, but then there's just a part of me. It's like, there's just something else going on here. Don't know what it is, but there's something.
Yep. So we got, what did Dylan's hopped on, and he's been reading Carl's Doomsday scenario with us to hop in on the conversation. Do you guys remember what Carl's race was?
Yeah,
was it primal?
It's a primal, bro.
Okay. That's kind of like the mystery behind him this chapter. We don't really know what that entails, correct?
So from what my understanding was, and if you guys have more insight into this, leave us a comment. But my understanding was, so primal usually takes the shape of whoever selects it, I guess. And so I guess they're an ancient race, from what I understood, that still they hold a lot of mystery. And so Carl was more open to taking it because it wouldn't change his appearance at all,
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. And so, but it came with a lot of benefits and stat boosts for old Carl. So I was surprised by that too. I was pretty sure that he was going to take human, but then when they started talking about primal, and as soon as Mordecai said that that the primals usually take the shape of whoever selects it, I was like, oh, he's going to be primal then. So yeah, with all the boosts, man, you got to.
Yeah, I got you. I mean, we have only read through chapter 9 of this book, so if we learn some more about that's just another layer to the story. There were a lot of little breadcrumbs put in book 1 that eventually, according to the comments, all come into play. So I'm really excited to get further into this one. Dylan, how are you enjoying Carl's Doomsday scenario?
I feel like for me, it's definitely a unique perspective coming in at book 2, not really actually reading the first one. I kind of wish I would have read it, because I actually have no idea why in the world they're even in the dungeon in the first place. But that's okay.
So here's the funny thing. Not only did Dylan not read book 1, he also fell asleep during the 3 episodes that we did on this. When we specifically talked about why he's in the dungeon.
I was completely zoned out. But I feel like for me also, as someone who is not an avid book reader, I feel like sometimes I feel like I have to start in the middle of the story, and maybe I'm just channeling my inner Star Wars George Lucas right there, but like just kind of getting right to the action. And that also could be like my Gen Z brain or whatever, because I like can't stand like the intros. I feel like whenever I sit down to read a book, I like struggle to get through those first couple chapters because I just don't feel like I'm just like, all right, I'm ready for the story to start. Like I don't really care about all the background. I don't really care like, but this I feel like probably would have been essential, to know what's going on. But even without that, I still really enjoyed as a video game person and a fan of RPG games. I feel like the first couple chapters just really just being about like different stats and buffs and all this other stuff and selecting your race and a class and all that stuff. Like I enjoyed all of that, and so I think that was definitely really cool for me towards the beginning. And then of course like there's them starting their adventure in this third level of the dungeon, which I think is I'm definitely enjoying it so far. So
I'm glad to hear you're enjoying it. All you really need to know is that Donut the cat is who we're here for. We're rooting for her through the whole thing. And I was personally rooting for her to choose the Necro Bard class because I wanted to see Donut walking around summoning a skeletal army to fight for her. But she ended up going with like former child actor.
Which was great. I think that's just, it continues on with what makes this book special to me is just like, even like the name of the classes, former child. It's
like a Fallout thing, dude.
Yeah, dude, it's so this book series just reminds me, it just has such good Fallout humor. But yeah, the former child actor was such a interesting thing, and it's so funny because like she continues to like equip things that she shouldn't equip. She picks things that she should, you know what I mean? She just keeps on doing the thing.
It's almost like whenever you were younger, which maybe it's a little different, of course, with you guys being a little older. But for me,
wow,
whenever I was younger, I just would pick. I didn't really care about the stats. I would pick. It's like wearing armor for the cosmetic rather than the stats. Sure. I feel like you're just kind of picking whatever you feel like picking. You're not really caring about whatever stats you're going to get from it or any kind of buffs or anything like that. And I feel like that's kind of Donut's mindset, was just going like, which I feel like makes sense for Donut's character. But
yeah, she just wants to look good and feel good, man. And I think the thing I like about her class the most is like it has an RNG factor to it that she gets to change like a class every floor, if I understand right, on an RNG basis. Yeah. So every time they descend a level, Donut's going to do something different. Right. And that's like if I'm playing a legit video game, like a Hades or a roguelike style game, I'm choosing that just for fun, just to see what's going to happen to make every run unique and interesting. I love that that's her class. Yeah, Mordecai didn't like that was her class. Mordecai got mad.
Yeah, dude, because she got that manager skill. So basically, but it's interesting because I don't remember. I guess when they brought that back, I forgot about the fact they had that conversation with old girl.
Oh yeah,
about the manager ability and how they needed to take the manager ability if they got a class that was available with that, because then they basically have Mordecai at their beck and call.
Yeah, he ain't happy about it either, dude. My man was salty. I feel like it's going to come back to bite him. I don't know why. Like, I want to believe Mordecai's a good dude for Carl and Donut. But at the end of the day, I also feel like Mordecai, if he gets an opportunity to get out, he going to take it and backstab them, dude.
Well, it's just like everything else in this death game, like it just feels like everyone's kind of out for themselves, Yeah. Especially you look like a Mordecai who's been there forever. And he's probably like, I just need to get out of this, situation that I'm in. And I feel like, even right now where we're at, I should have prefaced this in the beginning. I forgot. And I know you said it already, but this was chapters 1 through 9. It seems like by the time we get closer to the end, Mordecai's becoming more like try hard as a manager. Like he's really trying to help them. He's like, you guys are idiots. Get over here now and into the safe. You know what I mean? Like, so he's like putting in the work, trying to do something. So there's a benefit for him. I'm sure we'll figure it out later on down the road.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Sure, you're correct, dude. Well, we get through all the classes and the jobs. Carl picked a job that he can like level. I guess it was part of the primal. He can level his abilities up past 15. but he D-levels like 5 levels on everything. So he has to grind a lot to get back to where he was. It'll pay off dividends. But then they kind of get out to what I assume is the big reveal for floor 3. They're like in the Overcity. And the rules, like, there's like rules, and he kind of explains everything, like, don't do anything stupid because the guards don't put you in prison. It's not Skyrim. They kill you. Yeah. You're gone. And he kind of gives them some guidance on what to do next and gives them like some cool lore about level 3 that, like, essentially in this grand universe, it's a children's tale that never made it into old Earth's culture about that volcano. And the world consists of 6 layers. And here comes like the layering of the story. Like the very top layer is Overcity. And every 3 levels they go down, they get to a different layer until eventually you get all the way to level 18. That's where the monster resides, who causes the volcano to erupt and all that cool stuff. I love all these little intricate things that are just slowly being added to this book, man.
Yeah, I do too. And it kind of, we've talked about the layer parts about this book before. And, you know, we've had people comment on some of the previous videos, and they mention how the layers eventually, like, everything comes together to make sense. Makes you wonder, you know, with all of these books, I wonder if, and I'm sure we could probably find the answer to this, but makes you wonder if Matt planned all the books ahead of time, or if, like, it's kind of a making it as you go kind of scenario. I just wonder, you know, like, there is so many different elements and different things going on, like even the manager ability. There's just so much to keep up with in this book that by the time something like that comes back, you're like, oh yeah, I remember that now. You know, there's just so many different things. But I tell you what, floor 3, it's scary.
Oh, dude, creepy scary. Like that. So I guess the major part we read about's the circus they run into with those creepy lemurs.
Yeah.
The first thing they fought, and then the freaky clowns and stuff. And like, and then I had this image in my head as I'm reading, like a giraffe is carrying a horde of lemurs at Carl and Donut. And I'm like, bruh, what is happening?
And then one of the lemurs had like a mass amount of crawlers in a room next to it that they slaughtered or whatever. Yeah. And they were in such bad shape that Carl and them couldn't even loot them. So it's wild out there in floor 3.
Yeah, this book started off strong, dude. It really did. Donut also got like a new spell which lets her like clone things, so she keeps cloning Mongo the Velociraptor for their fights and stuff. And yeah, dude, I like the way they're evolving. The characters are getting strong, but they get a quest, which is something new. There were no quests in the first book, so they have like an actual quest, and I think it was like, you know, figure out the mystery of the circus or something or other like that, which leads into the big bad, I assume. I'll have to find her name, dude. Do you remember her name?
She's like Sarah or something like that. I don't remember how to pronounce it, but it's something like that.
So, you know, the quest part was interesting because that was the first time that we kind of saw, at least if I remember correctly. I mean, I know Mordecai did some questionable things when they first went to the safe house and he was drunk, and, you know, which led to Dylan's name there. Mordecai having a little too much fun, if you know what I mean. But, you know, he's an incubus. So what's he going to do?
He's living life, man.
He's living his best. So, but, you know, when they get to the quest part and they get the quest and they're like, hey, Mordecai, should we do this quest? My man's so wasted, laying in his own vomit, he can't even get back to him to tell him not to do the quest. Only to find, they almost died, bro. They almost got that business.
They encountered that big bad elite monster. She was level 60. I'm going to butcher this name. I think it's Serena Signet. I'm just going to refer to her as Signet, and someone in the comments can tell me if I'm pronouncing that name incorrectly or not. But they meet her, and her charisma is over 100, which is more than Donuts, and she ends up charming Carl. And what was cool is, like, Carl had to actually, I guess not cool for Carl, but he had to like break his finger to free himself from her charm, which made me like my stomach churned reading that stuff, man. It just did something to me. But they try to leave and they get attacked by a mob of mold lions, and they have to like protect her, and they fight them off. And then she kind of reveals like she was waiting for Carl to get a life-ending wound so she could use his blood to summon her army to fight the circus that she's no longer a part of.
Yeah.
So she has like all these tattoos on her body and they come to life based off blood and form her little army, which, let's be honest, what a cool visual. What a cool ability.
I was just thinking about that dude from Moana. What's Maui?
Maui.
You know, Maui has the tattoos that move too. That's just all I kept thinking about the whole time they were talking about moving tattoos, which is it's cool. I like that. You know, she's a cool character, and I love the element of this because, again, here's another layer that we add to this whole entire story, because she has been planted by the people who are organizing this whole entire crawl. And it's like a sub TV show, basically, for people to watch, that they're kind of writing it, you know. And sometimes these NPCs, I think, you know, and even Mordecai was, when he was explaining it, if I remember correctly, was like, you know, they believe they're the lead of this story. They believe that they are the main deal, that all of this is for them. And so sometimes the writers will put some of this stuff into play and it doesn't work out. And if crawlers come into the mix, you know, it's just another thing. And he was even telling them that there were so many crawlers that get involved with these elite NPCs that oftentimes just get wiped off of the map. And so he's like, don't do that. But here they are, bro, getting involved with this elite NPC. So,
yep. They did make it back to the safe house and kind of told Mordecai what was up, which he got mad again. But they, on that Dungeon Crawler TV of note, you remember the girl from the first book, they never really ran into her, but they talked about Lucia with the 2 dogs.
Yep.
About her new ability where she's like a human at day, Skeletor by night type deal. I can only assume they keep peppering her in because she's going to run into Carl at some point, whether friend or foe. I'm not sure.
Her ability is dope, though, because, like, what is it, like plus 20 or 30 to magic during the day, and then like plus 30 or something?
Well, I think the magic was like 50%, or like cost like 50% less or whatever.
Oh, okay.
But then her strength goes down, and then whenever she turns into the monster thing, her strength goes up, but the magic costs more.
Gotcha. Which interesting ability. I mean, you just fight differently depending on what time it is, I guess. But that's a cool, unique ability.
I agree, dude. I also like the little nod that Brandon's group, the old people stuff, they kind of were like, hey, we're all okay. So I have hope that those dudes are going to make it out. I know.
Lose your hope, bro. It ain't happening.
I know, man.
They all dead.
They gone. But Carl and Donut like shift and are like, man, we're going to take Mordecai's advice. We gone. We getting out of here. And then Carl gets paralyzed. They're like going to leave. They make the decision. And then Carl just wakes up. He's like, done. Donut's done. Signet knew they were going to try and dip on her. She wasn't having it, bro.
She wasn't. Poor Donut, bro. She can't move.
Nah, she's stuck. And Signet's like, dude, if you want Donut back, you have to help me. And she explains like her backstory, how she used to be married to Grimaldi, the ringleader of all the monsters. But then the cataclysm happened that like wrecked their world. And all these monsters that they killed just keep getting reborn on this vine that in my understanding, sprouts from Grimaldi in the middle of the circus, or the giant tent that Carl found a ticket to. So she's like, Carl, you got to go kill Heather. And she's strong enough beast that if you kill Heather, then I can summon my army. And I'm like, here we go, dude. And this dude's crazy imagination, he gives Carl like yet another great boss fight. It was a grizzly bear on roller skates and a pink tutu. A zombie bear, right? Wasn't she like half jacked up or something?
Yes. Yeah, and she wanted him to basically go. But, you know, that fight was interesting, too, because, again, it just goes to reveal, because after a while that something happens. What was he? Was he scratched the lottery ticket there? Is that when he scratched
it?
He
found that lottery ticket in the first book.
And it was the custard, right?
Yeah, he was hoping for the fireball. It was like 50% chance fireball or custard. He's like, fireball. And it was custard. But in an awesome like twist of fate, the custard like was a healing spell essentially. And since Heather was a zombie, the custard like just turned her into a regular old bear and was like slowly killing her, since she was like had that zombie technique, which is like cool, dude. You ever played an RPG against the undead? Cast Unholy.
Yeah, dude. I kept thinking when that happened, I kept thinking about Baldur's Gate a little bit, how sometimes just random things kill things in that game too. This book is like that. I feel like there's moments in this where just the most random stuff, like Custard kills a zombie bear somehow. But
what a sentence.
Yeah, Custard killed a zombie bear. Nice. I just changed my 3 words. All right, go on.
There it is. Well, so Signet's able to summon her army, and I want to give a shout out to Keaton. He's a fan of the show. He's actually been a guest a couple times. He loves large scale battles in books and movies, and we were treated to one right here at the end of this chapter. You got Signet's epic tattoo army, and Carl's with them, and they're attacking all the lemurs and mold lions, and they're fighting through all these people to get to the big tent, which Carl ends up using his little ticket to walk into the tent. And she's like telling Carl basically in RPG form, like, there's 3 protective barriers in this tent. You need to take each one down so we can get to Grimaldi. And Carl enters the tent, and that's where we stop reading for the week. And it was really hard for me to walk away. And when we do these book discussions and stuff, so I can stay like true in my thoughts and predictions and thinking about how things are going to go, I stop. So I'm stuck. I can tell you I'm going to pick it up probably before I go to bed after this recording and read the next chapter at the very least.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's been a few days.
It has, man.
One thing we didn't talk, we were talking about Donut's ability earlier. How about when they had the fight first with the zombie lions? They killed a lion, and then when she raised it from the dead to make it her minion, and then tripled it.
Yeah, with the spell.
Yeah, dude. That was pretty dope.
Hey, Mongo's also getting bigger as we keep going. I can only assume Mongo is going to get so big Carl and Donut can ride Mongo at the same time through the dungeon. That's my hope anyway, man.
Well, even Carl was mentioning, he's like, hey, I know raptors aren't as big as what they made them in cinematic universe, but looks like this one is our cinematic view of a velociraptor. So pretty dope that there's a velociraptor now with a cat and a primal human, whatever that is. Crazy.
Yeah,
Dylan, share with us some of your thoughts. You're kind of newer to this series, even though we're new technically also still. We've only read the first book. But what are your thoughts on these first 9?
I feel like I kind of already said it. Like, I'm definitely really enjoying it. There's some interesting things that I'm really kind of looking forward to more of. I don't really know. I know you guys, went through the first book, and they only did the first 2 levels, so I don't really know how many we're going to get in this book, if it's just going to be on this 3rd one, because it seems like it's going to be a bigger level than some of the other ones. So I don't really know where it's going to go, but I feel like a cool aspect that I'm looking forward to, because I think for the story it's going to be able to add a lot more in the future, at least, and kind of make it a little flexible. But a Donut's ability to be able to choose different classes, I feel like that's going to change like her style of whether like it's her fighting or defense or like some kind of healing power or whatever that she ends up kind of going with on the next in the future. I feel like that's a cool aspect to have in the story for the story purposes, because you can do so many different things. You're not just stuck to one type of character. And I'm kind of looking forward to the way, each one of those, going through each thing that she selects in the future, figuring out how she uses that, whatever weird way that she chooses to, if that makes sense. So I feel like that's probably one of the big things that I'm definitely looking forward to. But I know that also requires me to read further books probably. So
my prediction right now, as far as like what floor will end up, I feel like we are 9 chapters in, and we're in like the first, like what feels like 5 hours of them being on floor 3. We ain't getting off. We ain't getting off floor 3.
If this book ends with them going down into floor 4, I would be surprised. I really feel like we're on floor 3. Like, they set up this whole overworld. They gave us all this lore, how every 3 levels connects in such a meaningful way. I would be really surprised if, we'd come back next week and it's like, all right, man, Carl and Signet, they did their thing and they stopped Grimaldi, And but wait, there's more. And because this one's only 25 chapters.
Yeah.
And I believe we're reading until like chapter 18 or 17. I got the schedule somewhere in front of me, but yeah, I'm like you guys. I think 4-3 is it, man.
Yeah. Cause I think this main book, I mean, we've seen this big bad, this elite, and I mean, we could all be way off kilter here, but I feel like this story is going to play out and this is going to be book 3. Like it's kind of going to be this. And it could be completely different, but I don't know.
I like floor 3. I like the creepy circus thing. It's nightmare fuel, man. Like I respect what's going on here. I do think we're going to actually, my big prediction for this book, I think Carl will run into Lucia at some point in this book.
Yeah. Which I'm kind of excited for that. Her abilities are pretty dope. I think learning about different classes in this book is going to be cool too. Like seeing people and then hearing what their races and classes are and all the different things. I think is going to be really, really interesting throughout this whole series. So, all right, Robert, any final thoughts, bro, before we get ready to use our last 3 and sign off?
If you somehow found this video and you haven't read Dungeon Crawler Carl, I'm sorry. But please go read Dungeon Crawler Carl. What a fantastic series this is.
Sure. Dylan?
I would definitely second everything Robert said for sure. Especially coming from someone who didn't even read the first book and is just kind of now jumping in. It's been a fun ride so far and I'm looking forward to the rest of it.
My boy D Pope doesn't even know why we're in the dungeon, and he enjoyed it. And he enjoyed it. He doesn't even know why we're here, and he liked it. Okay, so that says something. But hey, we appreciate everybody who's been following those first 3 videos and supporting and leaving comments, all that stuff. We really do appreciate that. Like and subscribe to the channel. But before we log off, what are the last 3 final words that you guys have? Rob, we'll start with you.
Drunken Manager Mordecai.
Ooh. Dylan.
Listen to this. Or I guess read.
Good.
Yeah. Well, do the audiobook. Do the audiobook.
Yeah. The audiobook's a win, bro, for sure. Yeah. I just got 2. Killer Custard, bro. Killer Custard. I knew it was going to be Custard.
I thought it was going to be
Kill a Bear.
I thought your 3 words was going to be Custard Kills Bears, bro.
Custard Kills Bears.
What a name of a band.
That's a band name. Custard Kills Bears. Hey, bro, I'm working on a musical project. If you see that on Spotify, go check us out. All right, guys, here at the Nerdy Reads Podcast. We enjoy a good story. Believe your story matters. Be good to each other. Stay nerdy, our friends. Say bye, everybody.
Peace.